respecting our parents, particularly respecting our mother and father, and parents in general. And we spoke about the importance of showing them kindness and love and care, to the extent that we said even saying "uff" to your parents is not allowed. Even showing a face of resentment to your parents. Sometimes they may say things that may frustrate you, but even showing a disgusted look towards your parents, your father or mother, is condemned, and it is a sin. This is mentioned in the Quran, that you should not even say "uff" to your parents. So we talked about that. We talked about the saying thanks to, showing gratitude to your mother, and Imam Sayyid alayhi salam saying that no matter how much you try, you will not be able to fully repay the efforts of your mother. And in fact, no matter how much you try, you should always try to seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to try and thank your mother. As for your father, you should always try to make him happy, make him satisfied, and in his satisfaction is the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, all of this is under the assumption that the parents are not being tyrants. So if the father or the mother is abusing the child or being oppressive towards the child, then there's exceptions to these situations. But most of us, inshallah, are not in those type of circumstances. Those are for extreme circumstances. The last sort of major report that is in this section about the parents is the dua for parents. Now, I will not read the whole dua, because what they have done here is actually taken the dua from Sayyid Sajjadiyya, where dua number 24 of Imam Sajjad is your dua for your parents. So I will just give you the reference for that, and then you can read the whole dua on your own. Maybe I will just read some lines from it. But dua number 24 in Sahifa Sajjadiyya is the dua for your parents. So let's look at some of the lines of this. For example, in the dua, Imam Sajjad is saying that, "O Allah, single out my parents with your honor." So the karama that you want to show, the karama that you show to me or to my family or to other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have a specific and special type of karama and respect and honor for my parents. And teach me and gather within me knowledge of all of that. Then make me act in accordance with what thou has inspired me, and give me success to put into practice the knowledge that you have given me. Make me, O Allah, look at this. O Allah, fill me with awe. Ahabuhuma, hayba. Haybat is like when you are marveled with something, when you are in awe of something. Awe as in AWE. When you are in awe of something, when you see a beautiful scenery, your eyes open up, you're just amazed. That's what awe means. In Urdu, Arabic, Farsi, haybat. Imam Sajjad is saying, O Allah, ij'alni ahabuhuma haybata sultan al-usuf. That fill me with awe of my parents, the awe that one has towards a sultan. So when you are in the presence of a sultan, you look at the king's majestic throne and the palace, and you are mesmerized. Right now, after 5,000 years, we look at the pyramids, we get mesmerized. Okay, imagine if we lived in that era and we saw, let's say, the king of Egypt, we would be mesmerized. So Imam Sajjad is saying, "Oh, fill me with awe, and let me be devoted to them." Okay, through bir, by showing a lot of goodness, with the devotion of a compassionate mother. So give me devotion towards my parents, like the devotion of a mother, like the devotion that a mother has towards her child, and make me obedient toward them, and make my obedience and devotion to them more gladdening to my eyes than than sleep to the drowsy. So look at the interesting metaphor and the language that Imam Sajjad is using here. What is the most beautiful thing to you when you are drowsy? Sleep to your eyes. That's what you want. So imagine that feeling when you are sleepy, when you are drowsy, you're just waiting for that nice, comfortable bed. Imam Sajjad is saying, give my eyes the same feeling. In fact, not the same feeling, more gladdening feeling to my eyes when I see my parents than the gladness I get when I think about sleep, and more refreshing to me than the drink on my lips when I'm thirsty. So looking at them should be more refreshing to me. Oh Allah, make it more refreshing to me. Right now, maybe it is not that refreshing for us when we look at our parents, but look at the dua that Imam Sajjad is making. Oh Allah, make this experience, make this look, that when I look at my parents, make it so refreshing, more refreshing than when I taste water, when I'm extremely thirsty. And set their satisfaction, their rida, before my satisfaction. Meaning I should try to make them satisfied before I satisfy myself, and make much of their devotion to me, though it be little, and make little of my devotion to them, though it be great. Meaning, when they show devotion to me, no matter how small their devotion is, oh Allah, in my eyes, make it look very big. So if my parents, even if they give me a glass of water, make this simple act in my eyes, oh Allah, make it look like it's the greatest thing that they have done for me. And as for my devotion to them, oh Allah, make it look like in my eyes, no matter how big it is. Like that man I mentioned yesterday, that he did tawaf or umrah by putting his mother on his shoulders, and he went to the Imam and he said, have I repaid her? And the Imam said, you haven't paid her for anything. So it looks like a really big thing he did. So Imam Sajjad is saying, oh Allah, make that devotion look like nothing. There's nothing that I have done. Oh Allah, lower my voice before them. So yesterday we also read a hadith that lower your voices before in front of your parents. So sometimes we may struggle to do that. But over here a dua is being made that, oh Allah, allow me and enable me to lower my voice. I don't know if this is like a Western culture or not, but we're very loud actually. We're very loud, when you go to the restaurants, that's why they have the background music. And I didn't know how loud we were until we started to eat in like Iranian restaurants. And when we would go, all of us Canadian, American, British friends, we got told off a few times by Iranian customers saying, hey, you guys are so loud. And for us, we thought it's just normal, just like we talk in restaurants over here. So we're very loud people. So sometimes it can become very difficult, even in front of our parents. And our parents, if they are from a different background, different culture, they might not be used to hearing the kids speaking loud to them, because the kids grow up here and it's very normal to be loud and proud and whatnot. Loud and proud, be loud and proud. But actually, it is not from the Islamic etiquettes to have a loud voice. Even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Hujurat says to some of the companions, lower your voice in front of the Holy Prophet. Why are you fighting and quarreling and raising your voices up in front of the Prophet? Lower your voice. This is the adab that is being taught. So same thing, the Imam is making the dua that خَفِّضْ لَهُمَا صَوْتِي, make my voice very low in front of them, and make agreeable to them my words. Sometimes they may not agree with me, but oh Allah, when I say something, make it so that they agree with me, and make mild before them my temper. Right? You might get a temper sometimes. You might get frustrated, angry. But oh Allah, make me not lose my temper in front of my parents. And make my heart very tender towards them. وَعَطِفْ عَلَيْهِمَا قَلْبِي. Wa'atif from tenderness, soft-hearted. Make me very soft-hearted in front of my parents. Anyways, this is a long dua. As I said, you can go to dua number 24 of Imam Sajjad in Sayyid Sajjadi. I just read the first maybe couple lines. It keeps going on. So in this chapter, that's how Agha Jawadi and his team, they wrap up this chapter about parents. Before I move on, I do want to have two sort of side points, which I usually do for those who have you maybe first time here. I usually go off on some side tangents once in a while. And over here I have two sort of side points. One is, in the early Muslim tradition, in the Sunni world, in the non-Shia world especially, there's a big discussion that are the Prophet's parents Muslim or did they die kafir? Did the mother of the Holy Prophet, did the father of the Holy Prophet, were they believers? Were they from the Hunafa? Or were they from the Mushrikeen? Or they might even say this about other prophets. Like Prophet Ibrahim, in the Quran, the word ab is used. So they said this is his father and he was an idol seller. He used to make idols, he used to sell idols. In our theology, usually our ulama have said that a prophet cannot have a parent who is idol worshipper. Cannot be a mushrik. But actually, one of the places where this discussion has a significance is in this topic, which is that can you make a dua of maghfirah for them? Okay? Because you might be wondering, who cares? I mean, if the Prophet's parents, let's say they were mushriks, what does it change? Does it change his message? Does it change his religion? Does it change his teachings? His parents can go anywhere they want. Allah will judge everybody on their own accord. So whether his parents were Muslim or not, what does it have to do with the Prophet? Actually, the discussion became important because of this discussion, this point, that can you make dua for a mushrik? Can you make dua for a non-Muslim? This is actually a pretty lengthy discussion in the Islamic fiqh. Most of our classical fuqaha said that, look, when a non-Muslim is alive, you can make dua for their guidance, hidayah. And that's actually about it. Okay, you cannot ask Allah for their forgiveness. So pay attention to these two terms. Asking for mercy and asking for forgiveness, these are two different things. Asking for mercy just means, oh Allah, I know this person's going to get punished, but take it easy, reduce his punishment. Forgiveness, asking for forgiveness means, oh Allah, aslan, just forgive him. Don't even punish this person. So the question is this, can you make this dua for a non-Muslim? So Sunnis also discuss this, the Shias also discuss this. I will give you a quick summary of contemporary opinions. Contemporary opinions say this, that look, if a non-Muslim is alive, you must differentiate between a non-Muslim who is an enemy of Islam, meaning kafir in the sense of the kafir that is mentioned in the Quran, meaning people who know and they are rejecting. So an enemy, okay, an enemy. Or you have kafir which is a mustad'af, meaning they're not enemies, right? They don't have the full knowledge, they don't have the full truth to them, and they are not rejecting something that they believe is true. So you've separated now two. For the kafir who is an enemy, yes, you can make a dua for their guidance, but you cannot make dua for their mercy and let alone forgiveness. You cannot. He's your enemy. For a kafir who is mustad'af, you make dua for their guidance, hidayah. You can also make dua for their mercy. So Allah lower the thing. And also when they die, you can make dua, so pay attention to this. When a kafir who is not an enemy, like many non-Muslims around us, and maybe they did many good things in their lives, you can do a dua for their forgiveness as well after they die. Okay, so maybe they did many things and they're not blameworthy for the wrong beliefs that they had. Maybe aslan, who knows, maybe we might get blamed. Why we did not invite them and why did we not preach to them? May Allah protect us. Maybe we might get blamed. But they were not blameworthy. They never got the truth. So you are allowed to make tawbah for them and also make dua for their maghfirah and mercy and all of that after they die. But an enemy who has died, a non-Muslim who is an enemy, aslan, he fought you and he didn't agree with you and he was killing you and being oppressive to you, and he also knew the truth, then it is haram to make dua for their rahmah as well as their maghfirah in the hereafter. It is actually haram. You cannot, it's a fatwa of the fuqaha. You cannot make dua for them in the hereafter. So you can see where this discussion becomes important for the Ahlul Sunnah, because on the one hand, we are commemorating Wafat Abu Talib, and we are saying alayhi salam in dua. So for them, they are saying, no, Abu Talib is not a Muslim. So how can you make all of these du'as for him after he passes away? So while he was alive, they're okay with Abu Talib. But after he died, that's it. They say he died a non-Muslim. They then extend this discussion to the mother and also the father of the Holy Prophet. We don't have this belief. We don't have this belief. So this is one point. So if your parents, God forbid, if there's reverts, converts, if your parents are non-Muslims, right, this is a relevant discussion for them. if their parents are non-Muslims, if they are non-Muslims that are enemies of the religion, meaning you preached to them, they understood the truth, but they were stubborn, they didn't want to accept it, you are not allowed to make dua of maghfirah for them. Doing istighfar for them, oh Allah, forgive all of their sins and all their mistakes and let them come into heaven. You cannot make that dua. In fact, it is unethical and insulting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to make this dua. What are you saying? You're saying, oh Allah, I know these guys, they spend their entire life with the aqidah that you are not one. And they did shirk their entire life. They disobeyed you their entire life, intentionally. Oh Allah, please forgive them. This is an insulting request actually to make from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a disrespectful request to make from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So keep this discussion on the side. Second discussion I wanted to have is, some brother asked this question. So I want to expand on it a little bit. We've been talking about Silatul Rahim in the last 2 nights. Now, for many of us, practically speaking, big issues come up that when we are trying to do Silatul Rahim, but it contradicts with possibly committing a sin. Correct? Masalan, your family, your parents, your siblings are inviting you to a wedding. And in the wedding, you know this wedding is going to have haram in it. This is actually the practical dilemma many of us fall into. Right? Living even here, living anywhere, Pakistan, India, wherever, living in the West. This is the major practical issue that appears in our families. That hey, on the one hand, Islam is saying all of this, maintain your respect, respect them, show them your care and love, and give them the gifts and do all of this stuff. Now they have invited me to a gathering. This gathering is going to have, mixed gathering or music or alcohol and all of this stuff. What on earth am I supposed to do? So over here, I will just kind of expand on this a little bit because, as you all know, if you're a Muslim, nothing is actually black and white, right? If you're a Muslim, you should know nothing is black and white. Everything has this or that scenario or this scenario or this exception or this exception. So inshallah, let me expand on this a little bit. Look, there can be 4 type of scenarios over here. 4 type of topics you need to be aware of. Number 1 is that the conflict is happening where you are aware that the sin is going to take place from beforehand. Okay, so keep these 4 sort of topics in mind before I give the scenarios. Point number 1 is you are aware that the sin is going to take place. There is a gathering. It will be a gathering. There will be a mixed gathering, for example. Okay. Number 2 is, do you have the ability to prevent the sin or no? So some people actually, they may go into a gathering, they can prevent the sin, whether beforehand or after they go. Number 3 is the type of sin that is taking place. Sometimes, like I know, some weddings, they may have a dance component in that wedding, but it is at the end of the program, let's say. Okay, so a sin's going to happen, but it is not happening in most of the program. At the end, okay, so keep this point in mind, because look, the scenario can change. And the last one is the environmental characteristics of the gathering. Is this gathering, for example, like literally a haram mixed gathering or no? Okay, which it could be another component over here. So when you keep these 4 things in mind, these 4 variables can be formed into different scenarios. Number 1 scenario, okay, these are just situations, that you know beforehand that a sin will take place, and you have the ability to prevent it. Okay, so remember, this is a topic about Sila Rahim. Your family members are calling you to a program, to an invitation, to something very important, family get-together, whatever, reunion. You know beforehand sin is going to take place, and you also know that, you know what, I can prevent it. It is your moral duty to go and prevent the gathering and also attend the gathering. Simple. Right? It is your moral duty to go to the gathering, do your Sila Rahim over there, but because you can prevent the sin, you go there and you prevent the sin. So this is very clear. Second scenario is that you know a sin will take place, but you don't have any ability to stop the sin. Okay. So over here, let's expand this a little bit more. So this is like 2A. I'm about to explain 2A. If the place that you're going to allows you to attend without being present when the sin takes place. So for example, maybe there might be a second hall, right? So a dance party is taking place, or for example, okay, let's give an example. You go to a house party. So, all the families are invited in a house, and everybody is, I don't know, mixed gathering and whatever music is being played. But you can go and chill with your cousins in the basement, let's say. Okay, so you can go to that gathering, but you can go and participate and hang out with your cousins or family members in the basement or in the backyard or in the bedroom, wherever. Okay, so now you have attended it, but you have not participated in that room, and you are not sort of being seen as somebody who is endorsing that sin. So once again, you can go and there's no problem, as long as you are away from that specific room. But, so that's one thing. But if the gathering, if you cannot do that, meaning once you go, there's only one room, one banquet hall, then over here the sin you need to focus on the sin. Is the sin part of the gathering? Meaning you go there, it is aslan a mixed gathering, fully. Then over here, you have to prioritize not going over the Sila Rahim. Okay? So in this situation, you have to prioritize not going. So if it means they will get upset, it's okay. You have to prioritize not committing the sin over the Sila Rahim over here. And yes, as I said yesterday, family relationships are a trial, they're a test. There will be difficult conversations you might have to have. There will be struggles sometimes, there will be frustration. But that's what the whole challenge is about. You have to maintain them. And in fact, Allah is still asking you to maintain them. Allah is still saying, don't hate your family members. Yes, that's how life is. Okay? But if the sin is temporary, meaning at the end of the program there's going to be a dance event or something like that, then you can still go and attend, because the sin is not part of the structure of the program. It is something that will happen later on. Then you can once again go. But guys, remember in all of this, you also have to remember the rules of Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahy anil Munkar. So meaning, your presence should not be seen as an endorsement of that sin. Okay, this is very important. If you go there and people are like, hey, I don't know, Sayyid Ali was in this gathering, or Fulan, Maulana was in this gathering, while the sin was taking place, and it gives a impression like this to the people, then that is not allowed. Okay, so that's third. The third is, your family invited you, and you were not aware that a sin will take place, and you showed up, and you realized, oh man, this is, awkward. They put me in an awkward situation, right? It can happen sometimes. You go into a gathering, and you realize, oh my God, maybe they're playing music now, or they're about to dance, and you didn't ask for this. You were not sure, but you're there now. You have to try and prevent that sin from taking place. This is where the Nahy anil Munkar rules come in. You can look at all the rules of Nahy anil Munkar. You have to try and stop. And the last one is that you go into a gathering, you weren't aware a sin was going to take place, but you can also not prevent the sin. So you cannot prevent the sin. Over here, if you are able to escape to a secret room, basement, somewhere, with your cousins, whoever, then go ahead and do that. But if it comes to a point where you are now in that gathering, you cannot prevent the sin. No one's listening to you. In fact, you being there might be an endorsement for that sin. Then you have to actually leave the gathering. So you have to take a stand over there. So look, all the problem and the trouble is in very specific situations. Most of the times you can find a way to stay there and maintain the relationship, not cause commotion, not cause any drama. But yes, in extreme circumstances where really the family is not leaving you any choice and they want you to commit that sin, then over here, according to the Islamic tradition, you must prioritize your iman, you not committing the sin here, over the supposed Sila Rahim over here. So this is just something I wanted to mention because, when we talk about Sila Rahim again and again and again, these are the main questions that come to people's minds that, hey, okay, my family's inviting me, my cousins are inviting me, my in-laws, my parents are pressuring me to do this. What am I supposed to do? Maybe they're forcing us to do something wrong or haram. Well, these are some of the scenarios over here. So yes, there will come a point in certain circumstances where you have to walk out. right? If it creates a commotion, well, you're going to have to manage that, basically. Let's move to the next subsection, and that is kindness to the family. Okay, kindness to the family. And my family decided to come to council tonight as well. This is lesson number 13, and decided to come on tonight. And they're right here sitting. So this is a little bit scary. Yesterday it was about fathers, and the father was watching online. And today it's about family, and the family is watching. And then they will never come again after this. So in the recent, I did a marriage seminar. Over there I explained in a lot of depth about the importance of the family and sort of the purpose why we get married, why we have, why we should develop a family, why we have children. I explained in a lot of detail about the philosophy of the objectives in Islam, why do we need to have this, and how it all starts from an individual, then the family, then the community, then the sort of the greater ummah, right? If in any step either the individual is flawed or the families are flawed, then of course it will reflect in the community as well. If families in the community are not on the same page, it will reflect in the overall community. And if the communities are not on the same page, then it will reflect on the ummah, which is, you can see the state of the ummah today, right? Because communities are all over the place, and maybe that goes back to the different levels of the families, or maybe that goes back to the level of individual progress that we have. So in Islam, there's a huge responsibility in maintaining your family, meaning your spouse, your children, I'm talking about this family, your wife or husband, and your children, maintaining a very, very good relationship with them. And it is a source of salvation in this world and in the hereafter. And it is also a source of tranquility in this world. And of course, in the hereafter. Many ahadith, many ayat are about this. So obviously, they have not mentioned every single hadith that exists on this topic. They've mentioned some of the main sort of topics over here. The way they started this is very interesting. Agha Jawadi Amuli's team, that they have compiled this, they started this by actually focusing on some of the du'as that Prophet Ibrahim makes and Prophet Lut makes. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was asked to leave Hajara and Ismail alayhi salam in the valley of Makkah, right? Before the Kaaba was made. Over there, Prophet Ibrahim makes a dua that, oh Allah, please provide them with fruits. Okay, please provide them with fruits and make the heart of the people fond of them. So people who will get to know them, please make them inclined to them, because you could have caravans who might steal them or kidnap them or kill them, anything. So Prophet Ibrahim, while he's leaving, he's making a dua, okay, because he has to go away. So this care that he has, he can only express it because physically he cannot do anything. So he expresses it in the form of a dua. So meaning he's showing care and love to his family. Prophet Lut alayhi salam, he says, with the cultural issues that were happening in his society, he makes a dua for his family. Rabbi najini wa ahli mimma ya'malun. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, save me, give me najat, and also my family. Meaning my family has to be with me. Please save my family as well from what these evil people are doing. Prophet Yaqub, I mentioned yesterday at the end, when Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, after the whole story that had happened, the brothers of Prophet Yusuf were annoying Yaqub, and they had thrown Yusuf in the well, and throughout their older age, they kept mocking Prophet Yaqub, who's a prophet, and also their father. Still, at the end, when the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam are going to Misr to get their share of the wheat, Yaqub alayhi salam makes a request, because in his heart, they're still his kids. So in his heart, he says, when you enter the city, please make sure you go from the different gates. So that, there's no people like looking at you and observing you, and so you're safe basically. Don't just all go together. Go from different gates. And for the sake of feeding their children, he was even willing to let go of Benjamin, because Prophet Yusuf had requested that you have another brother, bring him as well. Prophet Yaqub didn't want to send Benjamin, but the greater good over here was that if I can send Benjamin, then at least we will get our food and I will be able to feed my family, because there was a famine at that time, starvation. The Prophet ﷺ says that kullu ma'rufin sadaqa, that every good deed is a form of charity, and whatever a mu'min spends in the way of himself and his family, and also in order to protect his reputation and his family's reputation is also sadaqah. This idea of reputation, your personal reputation, your family's reputation, and your community's reputation, this is actually a huge topic. Inshallah, one day we can talk about it in more detail. Islam has a very important, not just Islam, like specifically in the Shia tradition, this idea of your own izzah and your own image is very key. When they say, the fuqaha, for example, don't do certain types of azadari that bring a bad image to yourself. They're not making it up. It's in the riwayat. Do not give yourself a bad image. Okay, one time, in the time of Imam Kazim alayhi salam, one of the Shia was walking in the bazaar. And he was holding a fish in his hand. He's holding a fish. Maybe some of you have read this tradition. He's just walking in the bazaar. He just went to the bazaar. He bought some fish. And he is just holding it like this in his hand. And Imam Kazim said, what on earth are you doing? He's like, our Shia have honor and dignity. The way you are holding this fish and just walking along with it, it's very disgraceful for you to walk like this. This is the behavior of the low-level people. You're a person of honor and you have a reputation. Look at this. This is even crazier. Imam Baqir salam during his time, by the way, this topic of reputation is also discussed in taqiyya. One place you can do taqiyya is to save your reputation. Look at this example. In our fiqh, you don't pray Salatul Janazah on a young baby, 2-year-old, 1-year-old. There's no Salatul Janazah on a tifl. So Imam Baqir prayed on one of the children of his family, Bani Hashim. One of the children died. And he went in Medina and he prayed Salatul Janazah with the community. And the companion of Imam Baqir. So by the way, in Imam Baqir's time, some of the companions were living in Kufa, but remember, Imam Baqir Islam's time is still new. Early Shiism was developing, the community was developing. So these people were not openly Shia. So they were close students of Imam Baqir. So they said to Imam Baqir Islam that, hey, you told us there is no janazah on the tifl, on a little child. So why did you pray? His reasoning is very interesting. He says, I did not want the people of Medina to say that this family does not even pray for their children. Just to repel this impression that they might get, that this is a qawm, this is a tribe, this is a family that doesn't care about their children. Their children, when they die, they just bury them, they make no dua for them. So out of taqiyya, I prayed a Salatul Janazah. So the people of the city don't label us as people who don't care about their children, that they are negligent towards their children. So to that extent, you can go and save your reputation. You must save your reputation. This whole idea of not doing zillah of your nafs and humiliating yourself and humiliating your family, this all has to do with your respect and reputation. So over here, the Prophet is saying that not only what you spend in the way of yourself, but also whatever you do in order to protect the reputation of your family. Now, some other discussions are coming in my mind. The ayat from Surah Ahzab that are a series of ayat that start from, I think, ayah number 31. I might as well discuss this because it's related to reputation. If you go to Surah Ahzab 33, Surah 33, verse, I think, starts from 31. All the ayat about the wives of the Prophet. Ya nisa an-nabi, O the wives of the Prophet, لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخدعن بالقول فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض فقلن قولا معروفا. O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other woman in this community. So when you talk to other men, don't make your voices so seductive. Because there are men that have a disease in their heart, they might get tempted. So when you talk to na-mahram men, قُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. So if you go the ayat before that, here, this is from ayat 28. Ayat 28. I read too far ahead. يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك إن كنتن تردن الحياة الدنيا وزينتها فتعالينا. That if, O Prophet, tell your wives, if they want this dunya and the beauties of this dunya, we will give it to them. No problem, I will give them the dunya. But if they want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger and ودار الآخرة فإن الله عد للمحسنات منكن أجر عظيما. That if they want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they want your messenger, they want a home in the hereafter, Allah has prepared for them a place in heaven. Ajran adima. This next ayah, 30, is where the discussion is. Ya nisa an-nabi, man ya'ti minkunna bifahishatin mubayyinatin. O the wives of the Prophet, if one of you does a evil deed, an indecent deed, you will get يضاعف لها العذاب ضعفين. You will get double the punishment. You will get double the azab. وكان ذلك على الله يسيرا. And this is very easy for the Prophet, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ومن يقنط منكن لله ورسوله وتعمل صالحا نؤتيها أجرها مرتين وأعتدنا لها رزقا كريما. If you do an evil deed, O wives of the Prophet, you will get double the azab. If you do something good, you will get double the reward. The way that they have explained this discussion, some of the ulama, they said because the reputation of the Prophet was dependent on the wives of the Prophet. If the wives of the Prophet are going and mingling and talking to the men, and now some of them are making their voices seductive, and maybe some of them are flirting, and some of them, there's no boundaries here, the people of the city will be like, oh, look at this house, look at this household. What kind of household is this? The women are like this, and the women are talking to other men. Some men already were thinking that once the Prophet dies, they will marry the wives of the Prophet. They were already thinking like that. That's why Allah said that they are the mothers of the believers. You cannot marry them. So some men were already thinking like that. But hey, you are creating an image of the Ahlul Bayt, the household of the Holy Prophet, in a very negative way. You are ruining the reputation of the household. The household, which is the source of all the truth and the knowledge and the haqq, and the high morals, if that gets corrupted, then everything else is useless actually. If the source becomes corrupted, if the reputation of the source gets corrupted, everything else is useless. No one will want to listen to this. So you must have the utmost protection of this household. And in fact, if you mess up, therefore you will get double the punishment over here. So reputation, once again, very, very important. So as individuals, we have to make sure that the reputation of our families are protected. خيركم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي. The Prophet says that the best of you is the one who is the best towards their family, and I am the best to my family from amongst you. Meaning, Prophet ﷺ is saying that I'm the best person when it comes to dealing with my family. But even for you, you should all try to be the best towards your family. من دخل السوق, anyone who enters the bazaar, the marketplace, فاشترى تحفة, and they buy a gift, فحملها إلى عياله, and they bring a gift for their family, it is like one who gives charity to a needy group. So buying a gift from the bazaar is similar to giving charity. Imam Rida alayhi salam says, "Man talaba hadha rizq min hillihi liya'ud bihi ala nafsihi wa iyalihi." Whoever seeks sustenance and risk from the halal sources and spends it for upon themselves and their family, they are like a mujahid. Kana kal mujahid fi sabilillahi azza wa jal, in the way of Allah. If they face difficulties, if this person faces difficulties, they should go and take a loan if they need to, for the amount of the food that is needed by the family. And if they pass away before paying the debt, it is the responsibility of the imam to pay back the deed on his behalf from the Baytul Mal. So if a person who is needy had to take a loan to support his family, if they die and they are not able to pay back the debt, it is actually the responsibility of the imam. They have to cover his debts. They have from the Baytul Mal basically. Whenever one of you becomes needy, you should travel the earth and seek Allah's favor so that you and your family are not disheartened. So back in those days, guys, if you could not find a job in the city, you had to travel, right? You couldn't be like, no, I love my mom's cooking and I want to stay here. You know, I grew up here. This is where I grew up and all my family connections are here. No, back in those days, you had to leave the country. You had to leave the city to make an earning, make a living. Even sometimes today, maybe some of us may have to leave to a different city, a different country sometimes to make a living, right? Because that it becomes more important to make sure that your family is supported. If your family is not supported, it will become a source of them becoming disheartened. So yes, you may have to sacrifice your comfort, your luxury to go and support your family. So you should need to travel the earth, then be it. The person who has been blessed with wealth should provide generously for their families. This is from Imam Rida alayhi salam. Another narration, it talks about the eating together with the family. A believer should share all of the happiness and blessings with their family, even when it involves eating food with them. So trying to eat food together on a maybe table, on a sufra, dasturkhan, at least one meal a day. Right now, mashallah, I think many of you who are having sahri probably eat. So who usually families eat together? But other than Ramadan also, if you eat dinner together, for example, or breakfast, whatever it is on the weekend, try to eat together and share the blessings together. This is from the narrations, not some Christian tradition. It is in our traditions as well. This is a very interesting tradition. And when you read these ahadith, you can imagine the circumstances that people used to live in. It is not allowed for a person to allocate food for themselves without knowledge of their family. So what is this saying? So there is some food in the house. Okay, let's say I'm the man in the house. I know how much food I have, and I'm interested in eating extra naan, extra chocolates, extra Nutella, somewhere, and I secretly keep it to the side and my family doesn't know. So I allocate for myself a greater portion, but my family does not know. Don't worry, my family, they allocate portions for themselves. They don't share with me. But, when you read this, you're thinking like, wow, maybe some people were like that. They don't want to share equally with their family. They're stingy, they want to keep more of the food for themselves. Because remember, food is not like today. You go down the street, go to the grocery shop, buy whatever you want. It was not like that. You have to wait for the harvest, you have to wait for the farmers, you have to, seasonal food is seasonal, fruits are seasonal. Sometimes you have to store food. Many of these challenges used to exist. And by the way, once you come out of the these cities and you go live outside, life is very similar in many parts of the world, like it was in the old days. The Prophet ﷺ used to consider eating with the family to be a sign of humility. He says, should I tell you of 5 things that show that you are not an arrogant person? So someone may say, how do I know somebody is not arrogant? They are humble. Number 1, tending to sheep, meaning being a shepherd. So meaning the type of job that you're doing is not the criteria for how successful you are. Tending to sheep even is a sign of humility. Wearing garments made from suf, like wool. Sitting with the mujalisat al-fuqara, sitting with the poor people. Right, and this narration doesn't mention, but even sitting with the slaves. So Prophet used to sit with the slaves. People would get shocked. How are you sitting with this slave over here? But sitting with the poor people. Riding on a donkey. Donkey over here is a metaphor for not having a very expensive mode of transportation. Humble transportation. And eating with one's family. So some of the rich, wealthy people, they would see it below them and beneath them to sit and eat with their family. So the Prophet is coming and trying to destroy this image, this perception, that hey, eating with family is a sign of humility. Go and sit down, eat with your family, eat with your kids, eat with your spouse. In the Islamic culture, okay, I will just read this. در فرهنگ اسلامی اولویت و تقدم خانواده یک اصل به حساب می آید. That in Islamic culture, the precedence and the priority of the family is considered an asl. It is a principle. Your family has to be emphasized and has to be prioritized. And he says there are many, many narrations over here. He does not even mention, he mentions like 3. He says there's too many to put over here. But some of them he has mentioned here, that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows a favor on one of you, he should start with himself and then the family. وَأَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ. For example, you are given a blessing. You're given money. You're given some, gift or something. You're given clothes or something like that. Don't just go and start spending on and giving it to other people or donating for other people. Use it on yourself and your family first. If you are given any blessing, okay, you're given a car, a transportation, Don't go take your friends out for a ride first. Go take your family for a ride first, then go take your friends. So family first. Ibda biman ta'ulul adna fal adna. Begin with those who are closer to you in a relationship, and then the second level, the third level, fourth level. Okay, so any favors that you get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bestow those favors upon yourself and your family first. Then you go step by step to the next one. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says that when I used to enter the market and buying meat for my family is dearer to me than freeing a slave. Freeing a slave in Islam has immense merits. Alhamdulillah, no more slavery anymore. Back then, Imam Sajjad actually is known for freeing many slaves in his time. He says, for me to go to the market and whatever money I have, if I can buy food for my family, it is dearer to me. It is ahabbu ilayya. That is dearer to me than me freeing a slave. Meaning my family, they have greater rights over me than before anybody. Even yesterday we mentioned, when it comes to charity and donations, first your family, your parents, your relatives, and then at the end the Prophet said, then the rest of the people, and the Prophet said, that one has the least sawab. Remember yesterday we mentioned the hadith from the Prophet, that there is sawab for it, but it has the lower level of sawab. The most sawab is you spend on your family first. Spend on yourself, family, relatives, they come first. Make your family enjoy good foods like meat and fruits on Friday, so that the day of Friday becomes joyful for them. So this is actually a good indication to show that Friday should be seen as a day of joy. Our children, our community should feel and believe and consider it to be a happy day. It's not like any other day that comes. Remember in Al-Hadi school, we did Friday traditional clothing days, right? Just to kind of make the kids feel special. This is something, it's a special day, right? Inshallah, if parents can all follow the uniform policy, then, because jeans are not traditional uniform, traditional clothing, so we had to pause it this year. Inshallah, but the niyat is to start again, inshallah, in the near future, that Friday should be traditional clothing day. Wear your Eid clothes, wear nice clothes, wear good clothes, right? Come to school. It's okay to come in a non-uniform on that day. Come in good clothing so the children feel that this is a special day, right? Even on Friday, when we do Zuhr, Asr, in school, we do Zuhr out loudly. Because if you're not reading Jummah Salat, then we do Zuhr loudly, so kids can start seeing something is different about this day. Even the Zuhr they're reading, we're supposed to read loudly and stuff. Because it's a day to sort of relax, tend to your ibadat, and then you can go tend to your other activities and stuff. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِكُمْ نَارًا. This is the ayah of the Quran. Protect yourselves and your families from the fire. So meaning that we have some responsibility here. Okay? Protect yourself and your families from the fire. Meaning, and the flame of that fire, what's fueling that fire is actually humans themselves, right? This should give us an indication that there's a responsibility here. We cannot just, get married and say, okay, now I'm married, my mission is accomplished, now I'm done, I'm set. No, I mentioned in the marriage course, that is the first step. Marriage is the beginning, you just started. You now have extra responsibilities, men and the women, husbands and the wives. Right? You now have to make sure this unit that you have created, that has now been created, that it ends up in the right direction, the right trajectory. And it is so important that Allah revealed an ayah about it. Meaning one of the family members can be the cause of themselves going to hellfire, and they can also take their family into hellfire. That's how scary it is. O Ali, he says to Imam Ali alayhi salam, service to the family, khidmatul ayal. Okay, if someone might say to the Prophet, "O Prophet, I have done many major sins, kabira, gunah kabira. What is the kafara for it?" So the Prophet tells Imam Ali that what is the kafara for the major sins? O Ali, ya Ali, khidmatul ayal. Service to your family is the kafaratun lil kabair. It is the kafara for the kabair. وَيُطْفِي, and it extinguishes the ghadab al-Rabb. it will extinguish the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it increases the goodness and elevates your status. One does not serve their family except that they become a truthful, righteous person, or they will become a martyr, or they will become whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks for the goodness of this world and the akhirah. Okay, so when you are doing khidmah, either you will become from those people who are the Siddiq, the truthful, righteous people on the Day of Judgment, or in fact you will become from one of the shaheed, the shuhada. So these are great statuses that we have, right? أو رجل يريد الله به خير الدنيا والآخرة. Or you will be from those people who Allah does irada that you will get the khair of this dunya and the akhirah. It has been, inshallah I will wrap up with a few more reports, that it has been narrated from the Holy Prophet that the closest person to my position, on the Day of Judgment is the one who is the kindest and shows the best behavior towards their family. That the closest person to me, meaning the Prophet, on the Day of Judgment, is the one who had shown the best behavior towards their family members. Okay, this is talking about your husband and wife and children. This is talking about your main family unit. When you enter your home, say salam to your family and Allah will increase your barakah. These are very important adab to teach. Sometimes we struggle with teaching these adab, right? We enter in, some kids might say hi or hello. Sometimes I explain to the children hi doesn't, in Arabic you say the ism does dalala on something, right? So when you say salam is a dua actually. So when you say salamu alaikum, meaning you're praying for the person, right? Even when you say khuda hafiz, you say iltimas dua or khuda hafiz, meaning it's a dua. Or fi amanillah is a dua. But hi, hi it means nothing actually. It just it's not a dua, it's not a request, it's nothing. So it's a meaningless utterance of the sound basically, right? So it doesn't mean anything. Hello also doesn't mean anything. There's no dua, no talabul, what's it called, amana for anyone, nothing. So teach our kids that, hey look, when you want to say something, when you want to introduce yourself to someone, say salamu alaikum. You wish. So look, very interesting. Even when you meet, you are meeting not by introducing yourself. You are actually meeting by praying for the other person. This is the mindset that is there. So وَسَلِّمْ فِي بَيْتِكَ, so do salam when you enter your home. يَزِيدُ اللَّهُ فِي بَرَكَتِكَ. Allah will increase your barakah. And certainly, Allah is most satisfied with those amongst you who serve their families the best. And whoever is good and righteous to their family, Allah increases their lifespan. We talked about how Allah increases the lifespan. And whoever shows goodness towards their brothers and family members, mudda fi umrihi, their lifespan is increased. So inshallah, I will wrap up for today over here. And tomorrow we will continue. This chapter is not done. Then we talk about bad behavior with the family. What will happen if you do bad behavior with the family? What is the punishment for ruining your family relationships? And then, inshallah, we'll also talk about the children. So what is our duty towards our children? Inshallah, that's many narrations over there. How the Prophet used to treat the girls, the daughters, the boys. Remember, in that society, the girls were looked down upon. How the Prophet used to say that make sure you treat them equally. In fact, in some places, the daughters are more preferred. If you go out and buy a gift, the Prophet says, make sure you buy the gift for the daughter first. So these type of narrations, inshallah, I will explain tomorrow. But guys, brothers and sisters, pay attention to this idea of service. Because in my marriage course I did a couple of weeks ago, remember I introduced, those who were there, I said that marriage is a service. It is a khidmah. And I said that if as a young man you are not willing to serve your wife to be, and as a woman, if you're not willing to serve your husband, meaning service, khidmah, marriage is not for you actually. You are still too immature to understand that this is a relationship of service. You have to help each other out. You have to be there for each other. There's some compromise that is required, sacrifice that is required. If you can understand that, then this narration will also make sense. Khidmatul ayal. You're there to help and serve each other, inshallah. But I know, sometimes it can become challenging, it can become difficult. But your mindset should at least be of that. Your mindset should not be of one that this is some sort of a battle of the two different genders, and I did more of this and she did less of this, and he did more of this, and now you have to somehow make a checklist. This is, as I explained in the course over there, this is coming from a very different worldview. We do not believe in this, looking at marriage in that sort of from that framework, inshallah. So I think that's all for today. We'll wrap up, inshallah, and tomorrow we will talk about the punishment and the negative rewards negative impacts that are there for ruining your relationship with your families, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If there's any questions, today I'm a little bit less exhausted than the last 2 nights, but if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.